No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So, no, I will not give you one red penny. Look, again, I have no idea whether Jay-Z did what he's being accused of. But when you're defending yourself against a false accusation, I would think you would do just that, right? Go ballistic. He even challenged the accuser's lawyer, saying, "These allegations are so heinous in nature, I implore you to file a criminal complaint. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case." Now, the reality is the statute of limitations has expired for possible criminal case. That clearly isn't an option. But he's basically saying, go F yourself. I'm not going to be extorted. Now, these cases are not remotely comparable. I want to make that crystal clear. But look at Jay-Z's response, just the response. In the context of someone like Pete Hegseth, President-elect Trump's current pick to become Secretary of Defense, been accused of sexual assault by a woman in 2017. He was a guest on the Megyn Kelly show on Wednesday.
I paid her because I had to, or at least I thought I did at the time. I was newly married. I was up for potential jobs in the administration, so my profile was higher. And listen, she got lawyers that reached out to mine and said, if you don't come forward and if you don't pay money, then ultimately we're going to out him.
Now, the facts around this situation are murky. The woman was seen on video going to Hegseth's room with him, but it's also true the woman went to a hospital to report she'd been sexually assaulted. Whether it was consensual or not, Hegseth paid her off. But I've always found it bizarre when people claim they just paid money to people who invent stories about them. But let's ask Pete Hegseth's attorney whether that's unfair. Tim Parlatore joins us now. Thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. Again, look, I'm not comparing this. Let's move on from the Jay-Z case. Why isn't the normal response from someone falsely accused of sexual assault to just refuse to pay, be angry? I was up for a job or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that compelling an explanation.
Well, it really depends on the situation. One thing that Jay-Z has going for him is that California has a civil extortion statute. Most other states don't have that. One of the things that we did consider was doing exactly the same thing Jay-Z did, because he filed a lawsuit against that lawyer first for civil extortion. It was something we looked at. And ultimately, when we got into negotiations, the price that they were looking for was low enough that it was a lot cheaper to just, take care of the settlement than to go through the full process of litigating it, because even though we would have won in the end, it would have cost them a lot more in legal fees, and she didn't have the money that we could have collected from her anyway.
Well, let me ask you just one detail that I've always been wondering about this case. I've been wanting to ask for a long time. You said in multiple interviews that Pete was kind of drunk that night and the accuser was sober, kind of making her the aggressor. But here's Pete Hegseth last week talking about that.
I've been honest about that encounter, starting with law enforcement, from the beginning. I may have been drinking, but I was cognizant enough to remember every single detail.
Is there a conflict there between what you were saying and what he's saying?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, there are obviously various stages of intoxication, and whether you get to the level where you don't remember anything or whether you do have a memory, it's all in degrees of intoxication. So no, that's not inconsistent at all.
So you've said that you will actually sue the woman if she repeats the allegations publicly. Isn't there something bizarre? He pays her off after she makes allegations, but if she even says what they are, you're going to sue her?
Well, what we're talking about there is if she goes and repeats the false claims. And look, I want to be clear on this. If she wants to come out and tell the truth, we have no problem with that. We would welcome her coming forward to speak the truth. But the problem is, if she does speak the truth, it's going to be the end of her marriage. And so if she wants to come out and tell a lie, there are consequences for that. If you're going to continue to lie about my client, then yes, you would be facing a potential defamation claim.
But you didn't pay her off because she told the truth, right? I mean, the payoff, according to you guys, right, was not because of the truth, right? I mean, isn't that the argument?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. The settlement agreement, it's written right there in the settlement agreement that this was a payment that was based on knowing what the potential fallout was of the public exposure, as well as what the cost of litigation would be. And so the settlement is very clear. He denies her false allegations. He believes he's being extorted, and he's only paying her because of the potential public fallout and the cost of litigation.
Quick final question. Do you think he's going to survive the Senate confirmation process?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure that he's going to survive, and he's going to be a very good Secretary of Defense.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.